welcome to Ask the Warrior for the 21st of June 2014. That's a few days ago for you all to submit your questions. I initially was planning on doing the 20th. Things happened, unfortunately. And also I do apologise if I look a little red. I got a little sunburn, sadly, so yeah, I look a little red. I do apologise for that. But yeah, I am going to be doing Ask Questions, the questions that you submitted from Facebook, Twitter, and also the YouTube comment section. I have tweeted out a few moments ago for last minute questions. So if you hear my phone going, it's because, well, I've got last minute questions from Twitter. But we will go ahead and start with the questions. First set of questions, the first 5, come from Nicola Poletti. And his first question is, given the name Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, do you think this will conclude the series with the possibility of Nathan Drake end up dying to end the series with a bang? I'm not too sure about that. I do think Uncharted 4 will be the final game in the Uncharted series, but I don't think they'll kill off Nathan Drake. It would be if they do it in the right way, I'd be okay with it. But I don't think they'll kill off Nathan Drake. I highly doubt it. I mean, if he goes out with a blaze of glory, then I'm completely fine with that. But I'm not too sure if they'd actually do it. It's a big, big if, I'm going to be honest. I don't know, like I said, I thought Uncharted 3 was a nice little end to the series. I was hoping that Uncharted 4 would actually have a new protagonist, but if they do it right, I'm okay with them having Nathan Drake again. I will probably pick it up, if I'm going to be honest, because I want to see how the series ends. I like a trilogy. A trilogy is a nice round number to end up things, but I guess 4 is not bad as well. I don't know if they're going to drag it out or anything, because a lot of the Uncharted games felt exactly the same. It was the same kind of plot, only minor tweaks here or there. Sorry, I ate cake there. But I don't know, it's tough to say. I'm not too sure if they're going to kill off Drake. I would prefer if he just retired permanently, but I don't think that will happen. So if they kill him off, as long as they do it the right way, I'll be happy. But I was hoping for no protagonist, if I'm going to be honest. So yeah, probably the final Uncharted game starring Nathan Drake. Doesn't mean it will be the last Uncharted game. And maybe a new quadrilogy will start out after Drake's either death or final retirement. Next question from Nicola. After another fantastic E3 came to a close, what do you expect from the Tokyo Game Show 2014? And what do you want to see revealed at the Tokyo Game Show in September? I don't pay too much attention to the Tokyo Game Show, mostly because it's mostly technology that gets announced relating to gaming. But I think Nintendo and Capcom will probably reveal a bit more. I don't know. I'm not expecting too much, in all honesty. It just all comes down to what gets shown. So we'll have to wait and see, I think. But I don't want to predict. I don't like predicting too often. I like speculating, but I don't like predicting. So I'll say probably some more stuff from maybe the full-on trailer for the new open world Zelda, which will look like a girl in my opinion, but that's beside the point. Okay, next question from Nicola Paletti. Did you manage to go and see X-Men Days of Future Past, and if so, what was your thoughts on the film? I normally do reviews of comic book movies occasionally, but I never got around to doing X-Men Days of Future Past. I do apologise for I was planning on doing it, but then I was like, I don't really do movies that often. I don't think many people care. But he's asked, I'll give him my opinions. I think X-Men Days of Future Past is my second favourite X-Men film. Absolutely spectacular. I absolutely loved every minute of it. My first one is still X-Men. I still think the first X-Men is good. It hasn't aged well, but I still enjoy it. It's still a bit of nostalgia for me. I was a big fan of the X-Men animated TV series. Not so much the comics, mostly the animated series. I also liked, I've also got Wolverine and the X-Men there. I liked X-Men Evolution to an extent. So X-Men Days of Future Past, I have no idea about the storyline behind it beyond the animated series, which was probably done really, really fucking well, I'm not going to lie, if memory serves me. I haven't watched it in years. But, here's my thoughts. I think X-Men Days of Future Past is the best X-Men film in a long ass time. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. Basically, it's basically the best way to do a reboot in a comic book thing. They basically changed things in the past, and I absolutely loved it. I'm going to be honest about one thing. I wasn't too keen on the Sentinels. I prefer the classic Sentinels, but I'm going to be honest. These Sentinels were cool. They just looked a bit weird and all that. I loved Hugh Jackman as always. I also thought this was going to be it was going to be a nut. I thought the story would focus on him more or less, but it didn't. It focused on everyone equally, and everyone did a fantastic job. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, and for fuck's sake, someone sign a deal to get him in the Avengers, please. I'm begging you. Come on, Sony, do it. Whoever owns the rights to the X-Men movies, do it. Sign a fucking with Marvel. You make a fucking fortune, please. I'm begging you. Oh, because Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. He's done what very few actors do, and that's nailed the role so perfectly that no one else could probably play it. Marvel been doing that with like Robert Downey Jr. for example. He's pulled that off. I absolutely love Michael Fassbender. He was fantastic as Magneto. I really did enjoy seeing the old cast in the previous series in there. I loved seeing Patrick Stewart and Michael. Fuck, what's his name? The guy who plays Magneto. I can't remember his name. I'm horrible with names. It's Mick something. I can't remember his name. I'm an asshole. I'm sorry. I can't remember. But the guy who plays Magneto. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look that up. Give me a minute. I don't want to forget this guy's name. He's awesome. X-Men Magneto played by. That's Ian McLaren. That's who it is. It's Ian bloody McLaren. I knew it was fucking something like that. I knew it was a mix somewhere. Ian McLaren. That's his name. Both of them did an excellent job. I'm getting this back up. Both of them I absolutely loved. I think Ian McLaren is the older Magneto. I think he pulls it off perfectly. I also think that Patrick Stewart is the perfect casting choice for Professor Xavier. The other guy did it, James McAvoy, if memory serves me. He did a good job as young Professor X. I think he did a really good job as that. A broken Xavier. I do like, although Patrick Stewart's always going to be Professor X in my opinion, but I did really like the film. It was action-packed. It was very geeky. I really did enjoy that. They made subtle references and jokes to the previous series. And of course, I got to talk about, spoiler alert by the way, the Quicksilver moment. Oh my god, that made the fucking movie. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all over the place now. But Quicksilver, probably like the slow motion, beating every guard up when they're all trapped and all that. Oh, I loved it. It was fucking awesome. I absolutely loved that. It was great. That made the movie for me. And also, spoiler alert, at the end, when everything came to its triumphant end, I think they did a good job to basically reboot the series. It is a movie reboot. It basically gets rid of all the bad stuff in the X-Men series. Like, let's face it, the movies got worse and worse and worse, but they basically rebooted it, and they've started off to maybe continue another movie. Basically, anyone who was dead is back, like Jean Grey's alive, and Scott Summers is alive. I'm going to be honest, I'm not too happy with a lot of the casting of the X-Men. I'm not happy with Storm cast. I no offense to Halle Berry, she is good in some things. She's not good in this. I do not like her as Storm. I really did like the film. I'm not gonna lie. But my favorite character in the entire in the X-Men days, in the new X-Men with the old Ian McLaren, John McAvoy X-Men. That's what I call him. Jennifer Lawrence nails Mystique. A younger Mystique. She nails that so perfectly, in my opinion. She is so believable in that role that it's. I think that if she keeps this up, she could definitely be the Mystique of Mystiques if she does it right. And I think she does an excellent job with, especially with all the makeup she has to put on. That's no easy feat. She was the best thing in this movie because you could really feel the emotion in it. I absolutely loved this. I loved the film. It was great and definitely my favourite of the X-Men movies. But yeah, it probably is actually. Now that I think about it, X-Men 1 doesn't live up to it. X-Men Days of Future Past was fucking awesome. I am excited to see this series continue, especially with the ending. They had a little thing at the end of the credits, which was nice seeing. It finally shows Apocalypse, who is a big character in the Marvel universe. I'm very happy to see that they have rebooted. They didn't just reboot the whole Bryan Singer, I think it is, didn't just reboot and get rid of all the bad stuff. He got rid of everything. So it's a complete reboot. I'm happy with that. I absolutely loved it. There were problems. I'm not gonna like. Why the fuck does Kitty Pryde have mental time traveling powers? Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Ellen Page, but why the fuck does she have those powers all of a sudden? Why did you waste Bishop? Like, why? Bishop's an awesome character. Why did you fucking waste him and only have him, like, say 4 lines? But yeah, I enjoyed the film. I definitely would, probably I'm going to buy it on DVD. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Next question from Nicola is, if done right, would you like to see the Mass Effect trilogy ported to Xbox One and PS4? If done right, yes, I would like them ported because, especially Mass Effect 1, let's face it, that game is not easy to play. The controls are clunky, the graphics do not survive the test of time, and it's still riddled with bugs to this day. I would like if BioWare did a remastered version, like they not only cleaned it up, made it look good. It wasn't just a straight up port. They actually cleaned up all the problems with, let's say, Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. You could port to the next gen consoles, and they'd still look good in my opinion. Mass Effect 1 is the one that's going to need the most work to be remastered to fix all the graphical problems they had with that game. It would probably need a graphics overhaul, if I'm going to be honest, and fix the control system. But I think a proper remastered version of Mass Effect 1 would be the toughest, and it would be a lot of time, a lot of money. I'd pay for it in all honesty if it came out on PS4 and all that. If they remastered Mass Effect 1, I'd gladly buy it again in all honesty, because Mass Effect 1 is very difficult to go back to. If it wasn't for such a great story, I probably wouldn't be able to go back to it. But it's just the controls and the graphics need a massive upgrade if they're going to fix it. So I would probably say yes, I would be okay with that, and I would probably buy it. Final question from Nicola Paletti is, what is your most anticipated game of 2014 with the games that have been announced? Batman Arkham Knights is definitely one of the ones up there that I'm highly anticipating. But that's been delayed to 2015, so that's a bit of a bummer. But as long as they make the game good, I'm okay with that. And honestly, there aren't that many besides, of course, Dragon Age Inquisition. That's the one I'm really excited for. I can't wait to get my hands on that. I would say Assassin's Creed Unity, but not anymore. I'm not that excited for that game anymore. I can't think of any off the top of my head, if I'm going to be honest. The only one that pops in is Dragon Age Inquisition. There were more games in 2015. I'm looking forward to, like Witcher 3, Batman Arkham Knight, and there's one or two others that's named I can't bloody remember. I do apologise. But I think 2015 is actually going to be a better year for gaming, in my opinion. 2014 is kind of dragging on a little bit. The biggest one coming up, of course, is Dragon Age Inquisition. That's the game I've been waiting for years. So I am excited. That's the most excited game I'm excited for, because I can't wait to play it. But as for other games, there aren't a lot. Like, the only other game I'm thinking of picking up now is Murdered Soul Suspect, but I've been hearing really mixed things about that game. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely have to have a little think about what games I'm probably going to pick up. But, you know, there aren't that many that spring to mind, like, oh, that's the game I have to get. So yeah, there aren't that many, if I'm going to be honest. Okay, next set of questions comes from Youth Yap, and his first question is, will you be going to MCM Comic Con this year? Yes, I will be going to Glasgow MCM Comic Con. I will be going there. I know a couple of clan members have said that they are going. If you do happen to see me, then don't hesitate to come upstairs. I will say this right now, I'm actually going to be with my family on the first day. I just give you a little head up, so you will, if you see my family, you might be a little cautious, but I will be there, and I will be having an absolute blast, hopefully, because I had an absolute blast last year just walking about the place. It was absolutely beautiful, and I loved being in that. There's my first ever convention, and I absolutely loved it, so I definitely am going to try and make this a yearly thing. So I will be going. If you do happen to see me, don't hesitate to come up and say hi. Next question. Oh god, this is going to be interesting. In an independent Scotland, would you prefer the SNP to be a government or another party? Firstly, I don't pay too much attention to politics, I'm going to be honest, because it's too confusing. There's a lot of fucking shit I don't like about a lot of politics. I wish politics was straightforward, but it isn't. As long as the SNP don't do anything stupid, I'm okay with it. As long as they do it properly, I'm okay with it. But if another party comes along and does it right, I'm okay with it. I'm not touching that stick. I'm not touching that question with 10-foot ball. So sorry. Next question. Can you speak Gaelic or of any other Celtic language? No, I know Alba-Gabrath. That's about it. I did try and learn it a few months back, and I might try and pick up again. I did learn a few phrases, but I haven't been able to remember them. Gaelic, unfortunately, isn't spoken, and I don't know anyone who can speak it, so the only problem with learning any language is you can learn it as much as you want, but unless you use it every day, you'll never remember. Like, that's why a lot of people who speak fluent languages move to countries where they can learn the fluent languages. Like, if I wanted to say I lived in Japan, I would have to learn Japanese to be able to live in that country, because I wouldn't be able to, not everyone's going to be able to speak English. And even then, some of them would be pretty bad at it, because not all of them, just some. So yeah, that's no problem. I don't know any Gaelic speaking people. It's a language that's rarely spoken anymore, sadly. I really wish it was more spoken. If I could find classes for it, I probably would do it, but the only problem is you need to learn any language, you need to constantly repeat it and learn it and use it every day. So yeah, I only know Alba-Gabrath, and I know one or two others, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. It's difficult to get them sometimes, so maybe one day. Thoughts on Oculus Rift buying... thoughts on Facebook buying Oculus Rift. As long as they don't fuck it over, I don't give two shits. I'm not a big fan of this whole Oculus Rift thing, because if you don't notice, I happen to wear glasses. If I take my glasses off, everything gets a little bit fuzzy. I can see and I can read things, but it's my left eye that's a bad one. So the Oculus Rift, I'm not that excited for, if I'm going to be honest. It's one of those things that's like, I'd probably try it out, but I'd never buy it. So yeah, I don't want to give too much to this. Next set of questions comes from Tushar. Your top 5 games from E3, barring Dragon Age Inquisition and Witcher 3. Try to think. Arkham Knight looked fantastic. Vagrant Hearts, or Valiant Hearts, that game looked rather interesting. I probably will end up playing that. And nothing else really interested me. Nothing that pops into my head, honestly, that really interested me, that made me go, oh, I must play that. The new Zelda piqued my interest, but at the same time, it's like, there's that actual chick? No, it's not a chick. And Hyrule Warriors. Those are the only ones that interested me the most, because I could definitely see myself having fun with those ones. But overall, E3 is a bit disappointing for me, if I'm going to be honest. It was mostly show, and not actual do. So, yeah, most of the games I didn't care about anyway. Next question from Tushar is, your thoughts on 30 FPS versus 60 FPS? Holy shit, this fucking question. Okay, for those who don't know what FPS stands for frames per second. What that means is how fast an image is moving. That's basically like how many frames. Like this here, me doing this, is a multitude of frames. This is 30 frames per second. It says it right on there on my thing. So I move my hand, that's 30 frames that went to move that. That's basically I can sum up frames per second. don't know it too well. But the whole debacle is that, can you see the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second? Me personally, I can notice it sometimes, but not all the time. I've been a console gamer most of my life. I've only recently, in the past few years, dived into PC gaming where I can have more than 30 frames per second. And there is a noticeable difference if you play it for long enough. And like, if I played Fistful of Frags, or another game that has like over 30 frames, like that, it runs at 60 frames per second. If I play a game like that, and then I go back and play a game that has 30 frames per second, I will notice the difference. But I'm going to be honest, I don't notice it that much, but that's just me, because I have been a console gamer most of my life. But in my opinion, if technology has advanced to the point in which we can do more frames per second, then do more frames per second. Some people say they don't like it, they feel queasy. That's some people. Allow people who want to have more than 30 frames per second do more than 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second is what some people are comfortable with, but in the future we will probably have more things to deal with than just 30 frames per second. In my opinion, whatever your fucking preference is, do it. But don't restrict the technology as well. If the technology is capable of 60 frames per second, let it do 60 frames per second. And give people the option to turn that off and play at 30 frames per second. Cap the frame. All they to shut here, game developers, I'm going to give you a free fucking tip here. To shut people up about this whole shit, here's what you do. You work with your game to get the highest frame rate possible. Right, so 60 for example. But then you add an option that caps the frame rate at 30 and allow people to turn that on and off. Done. Shuts people up. Allow people to uncap the frame rate if they want, but make sure your game can run at higher than 30 frames per second. That's all you need to do, and then to add an option where people can turn 30 frames per second on or off. There, done, dusted, sorted, shuts fucking people up. I hate this whole argument and debate. It's a person's personal preference, but in my opinion, do not halt technological advancement if you don't have the option. If you have the option, don't halt it. Let technology advance. Don't restrict it. I personally think we need to advance technology in most fields, safely of course. And this whole 30 and 60 frames per second, 60 frames, let's face it, 60 frames per second is going to be the future. At one point in the future, we're going to be going, oh, you can't see the difference between 60 and 120 frames per second. I guarantee that will happen in the next few years. That this whole 30 versus 60 thing will just disappear, and it'll be 60 versus 120, or 120 versus 240, that kind of thing. I guarantee that's going to happen. People are going to piss and moan about the higher the frame rate, the better, the lower the frame rate, the better. Some people can't see the difference. I can see it sometimes, but that's me. If you can see it, good on you. If you can't, good on you. Just shut up this book. It's a pointless fucking argument, in my opinion, to say which one is better. Let's face it, 60 frames per second is better. Let's face it. Okay? But people argue over it. People love to fucking argue. Don't halt technological advancement just because you have a slight preference. Just allow people to turn up, allow an on and off switch to put it at 30 frames per second or not. They're done, dusted, sorted. It's a fucking pointless argument. Next question from Tushar. Are you following the World Cup? If you are, who are you supporting? Nope, don't follow football at all. I give two shits. Love your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Tushar. Yeah, but I don't care about football. I just make fun of people. I just love teasing people about when their teams get beat. It's hilarious. I won't go into the whole argument why I don't like it. It's personal. Next set of question comes from Sumki. First question is, hello Warrior, could you show us behind your camera? I personally expect corpses of bad DA cosplayers. What's behind there is, I've shown it before in the past, it's a blank wall, and it takes ages to reorientate my camera. I'm not going to do it on here. All it is a blank wall, or my secret cave where I do keep my dead bodies of bad DA cosplayers, but you'll never know, because you'll never see my room. Or maybe it's my sex dungeon. Everyone's got a sex dungeon. Next question from Sumki is, do you think this year's E3 was pretty bland in terms of games? Yes, I think this year's E3 was bland compared to last year's, but not because of the games, just because there wasn't much to make fun of. I think last year's E3 was a little bit better, but that's because last year they announced that they were getting ready for the next gen console launch. This year they only had to show games, and they showed games. There were some games that were interesting, but a lot of the games didn't interest me personally. The only ones that really interested me was some of the RPGs, a couple of the action games, and one or two others like Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I still think is a fucking ridiculous title. But overall, this year's E3 was pretty bland for me personally, but I wasn't there. I'm pretty sure if I was there, I would have had a blast. Next question from Sumki is, favourite Game of Thrones character? Shite. I don't want to say my favourite Game of Thrones character because I'll say it and then it'll die, because that tends to happen with me. Couple of my favourite characters, I love all the characters in Game of Thrones. My least favourite character probably is Jon Snow. I just think he's a really bland character. I don't get excited with his storylines at all. It was only in the last episode of season 4 that he really interested me after a long fucking time. But I'm not a big fan of Jon Snow, if I'm going to be honest. And every other character I like. I even like the dick characters. I loved to hate Joffrey, and when he, spoiler alert, died, I was happy, but I was like, oh shit, who am I going to hate now? Huh. And then other characters came in for me to hate. I love the Hound. I'm not going to say what happened to him. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, so don't worry. Tyrion, of course. Littlefinger. Oh, I love Littlefinger. He's awesome. He's such an evil fucking twat, but I love him for it. He's so evil and conniving. He's probably the person who plays the Game of Thrones the best. He plays it perfectly, and I love him for that. Jowen, Sir Friend Zone. You all know who I'm talking about. Jowen. I think it's Jowen. Sir Friend Zone to Daenerys Targaryen. I love his character. I love how much he loved the Daenerys, and how he and what happened to him was very sad. I do love his character growth. He has changed a lot, and I do like him for that. I did like Daenerys Targaryen. Dany, but I like Daenerys Targaryen. Sounds more posh. I liked her for a while, but of late she's not been that interesting to me personally, and I don't want to say why because it's kind of spoilery. I love the spider. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. I like Tywin. I liked Jaime. I love to hate Cersei. I like Arya. Sansa, she might grow on me a bit more. Sam, the Wild. I love a lot of the characters. I don't have a one favorite character. I loved Oberyn. Yeah, I'm not gonna say, you all know what happened to him, but I'm not gonna say it for those who don't. I loved Oberyn. I absolutely loved his character and his whole thing. The Mountain, I like the Mountain, and his 3 recasts. I liked the Starks. The Starks were good. I loved Ned before he got his chopped off, but it's been like 4 years. I can spoil that. I love a lot of the characters. I don't have one favorite. I have a lot of favorites. So yeah, that's where I'll leave that. Thank you, Simki, for your questions. Next question comes from Angry Wolves, and his question is: Gamer MD 83 and ability drain squee over Cullen. I don't like him very much. Would have preferred someone else, but what is it? What it is? But what it is? Don't know if that's a question, so don't know if that's a question. I might have chopped it off a bit. I do apologise. Here it is. How important are these adversaries? Adverse going to be to the game? If we take their advisors, if we take their advice, will it be mixed? Will there be sometimes be right and sometimes be wrong? What do you think, and how do you plan to use your advisors? That's all I wanted to ask right now. Have fun. I think what's going to happen is the advisors, like for example Cullen, the Unknown Scribe, and Liliana. Those are the 3 that we know are definitely going to be advisors. I don't know what Cullen's going to be advising. I think he might be the war advisor, if I'm going to be honest. Liliana's going to be a spy master, and the Scribe's going to probably be the political advisor, I think she's going to be heavily political, and I think the 3 of them are going to give you advice at certain points, like maybe Cullen will say we have to attack straight on, or Liliana says we have to sabotage, or the Scribe we have to play political, and they'll give you options of how you will take down your targets or achieve your goals. Do you go more the political side of things, or do you go more the aggressive war types, or do you go more the spy alternative? I think that's what the advisors are going to be for. I don't want to say too much in the news because we are going to be doing a podcast on the 28th, I think. But I do like the idea of having advisors. I think it'll be similar to what's the game? There's a game that Dragon Commander. That game I haven't played it. It's a game that's on my list to play actually. I'm willing to get it eventually. In which you have a group of advisors from different races, and they give you their opinion. You vote on like same-sex marriage, and entitlement, that kind of thing. And you'll piss off some of them, but you'll love the rest of them will love you. I think that's how it's going to work. You'll have like maybe an approval status of some kind, in which like if you go more the spy route, Liliana will be happy, but Cullen won't be too happy. Or if you go the political route, the scribe will be happy, but the other ones won't be happy. I don't know how that's going to work. If I'm going to be honest, I'm probably going to try and play more the spy route. I think I'm a big advocate of the more information you have, the better. So, I don't know. I'll probably might go more that route. I don't know yet until I get the game. But I am happy to say that I will be listening to my advisors, and I think that's going to happen. And you'll probably be able to romance your advisors, no doubt. Cullen's already confirmed romance. I don't know about Liliana. I think it'll depend if you romanced her or not in the game, which my female warden did, but my female city elf warden did, but my male Daily Shot warden didn't. Really good friends with her though. So yeah, I think that's how the advisors are going to work, but I don't want to speculate too much, so here's something in the future. We'll find out. And I think this is actually a good splitting point for the video, so thank you for watching part 1, and I'll see you in part 2. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to help this channel out in any way, shape or form, you can hop over to my Patreon page and donate a minimum of $1 a month to help towards resources for the channel, licenses, equipment and other resources. And hopefully you will consider at least having a little look at my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.